the store, choke on the smoke. They tell me to quit, don't listen what I'm told. They help me forget that this world is so cold. I don't even know what I'm chasing no more. Tell me what I want, let's keep searching on. It's never enough, cup after cup, blunt after blunt. I wouldn't get one if I could find a far, in the car.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Foul Ball Talk, presented by Pigtown Sports YouTube. I'm the host, Matt Trigger. With me is Tim Malarkey, my co-host, Zach Moore from Pigtown Sports, and Orioles Hall of Famer, shortstop Mike Bordick. Mike, thank you for joining the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for giving us some of your time. Zach and Tim, what's going on, fellas?
Not much, man. Just waiting on spring training to kind of get underway. Give us something to talk about a little bit. Mike, we definitely appreciate you stopping on and chatting with us a little bit. Here to pretty much pick your brain tonight between your career and what do you think about the O's this year?
Okay, yeah, cool.
No, I'm ready to go. I appreciate you joining us tonight, Mike. We've been seeing lots of fun stuff come out of Sarasota. Some of the guys look jacked. Everybody looks like they're in shape. We're starting to see these baby birds turn into baby men, so to speak. So we're in for an excited season.
Yeah.
So, Mike, my burning question, honestly, and I wanted to get it out of the way early, is what was it like to play with Ricky Henderson?
Oh, man. Yeah, thanks for asking that question. It was incredible, honestly. He, when I got to the big leagues, he was the most valuable player. So I saw him, when he was just the best in baseball. And I had never seen anybody, and I guess to this point, anybody as good as him that could win games on both sides of the ball, right? Defensively, it was incredible. He could hit home runs. He'd draw walks, steal second, third. I mean, it was unbelievable. Whenever the A's needed a run, they called it a Ricky run, and sure enough, he'd come through. And the biggest games, when it was like Clemens against Stewart, it was always Ricky that scored the run or made the play. So he was unbelievable. He was a great entertainer and just an unbelievable athlete. And when I saw him, coming into the big leagues in 1990, he was already a mega superstar, and he ended up playing longer than I did.
Wow.
The guy was just a freak, man. Unbelievable athlete.
The king of stolen bases. The king of stolen bases.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It definitely is. It definitely is. Mike, this season is, the season's finally here. Spring training 2025 is upon us. A lot of Birdland was a little bit underwhelmed with the off-season acquisitions and the guys that we let go, the guys we couldn't re-sign. I am on the boat of being a little bit disgruntled, and I've expressed that on this show plenty of times.
Let me interrupt you, Matt, just so Mike gets the scope of things here. Matt plays the disgruntled role out of the group.
Okay.
I'm a little bit of the hopeless romantic kind of nerdy guy, and Zach has the firsthand experience. So
well, it kind of depends on what day I think you get me, because I'm in and out with it too, man. I think, initially, I'm just like, what are we doing? I thought the rocket was taking off. Let's go, man. Are we not going after to win a championship or what? But then I see, they made a lot of signings this offseason. They filled roster spots and they created depth. And I think depth is kind of the key. And it's going to be. Guys are just dropping like flies in the big leagues. And if you don't have extra arms and depth in AAA to fill in, you are not going to compete. And it's shown year in and year out. And more so here recently, because pitchers are just, my gosh, you might as well book that you're going to lose two of your starting pitchers every year and maybe even an arm out of the bullpen. And it's sad to say, but if they keep doing this max effort stuff, the turnover is just going to be crazy. So you better start stockpiling arms. The Dodgers obviously are the team to beat because they have all the arms. And so the Orioles, I think, did a nice job trying to create some depth in the organization. And I think they're going to play this out. Hopefully another great start to the season like they had last year. Last year, the first half of the season, it was the best team in baseball. And it's like, this team is not going to be beat. And then all of a sudden, the second half, There were some injuries. Adley forgot how to play baseball. Westburg got injured, who was their most clutch player. Yeah. They don't hit well with runners in scoring position. And when you lose your best clutch player on Westburg, you're in trouble. They lost him for over a month. So there were some big things that happened in the second half. And like I said, if they get off to a good start the first half, I got to believe they are just going to go all in to win the second half with whatever they need, and we still got to figure out what they need. They're filling spots, but is Batista going to be the closer back there, or is Kittredge going to have to go in and fill in? Because I think there are a lot of question marks with all pitchers coming off Tommy John.
You must listen to our show to say that. We talk about that a lot.
That is a very common talking point is Batista's health. And today it came out that Bradish, he's having some, I don't want to call them setbacks, but they're expecting Bradish to be a little bit longer in his recovery than originally thought. Now, I know that you've been, quite vocal, not necessarily in a bad way. You don't really hide your feelings about any of this stuff with the Orioles. Do you feel that they should just shelve Bradish for the year and let him have a complete go at a healthy 26? Or do you think that it's a risk bringing him back and having another 2024 shutdown type of situation after 4 starts?
Man, I think it's all risk now, and it's unfortunate. I think it wasn't too long ago when a guy would get Tommy John surgery and it would last him his whole career, and then all of a sudden it went to 8 years, and now it's down to 4 years for a guy that gets Tommy John surgery. They'll have like a rehab year bonus, and then 3 years later they're getting Tommy John again because of the max effort that's going into pitching. I'm sure you guys paid attention a couple months ago. Major League Baseball came out with their 200 doctors, 200 trainers evaluated why are we having so many injuries. And it's because they're trying to throw every pitch so hard to try to get maximum spin. And they're throwing more breaking balls than ever. So every elbow, every shoulder, if your mechanics aren't perfect, you're going to blow out. And even if your mechanics are perfect at baseball, the most unnatural thing to do in the world is lift your arm over your head and throw a baseball. So you're bound to get hurt. And I think every pitcher is flirting with disaster. And I think every pitcher has an injury. It's just a matter, does it flare up enough to shut a guy down and get an x-ray and see that something's torn, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And it's, you see it a lot now. Like I was watching college baseball a couple nights ago, and these guys are in college. Their velocity's up. They're throwing 92, 93 miles an hour in college. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that wasn't the case. So it's, I'm sure Zach will speak on this too, because I know that's where his brain was going, but it's velocity, spin rate. That's what it is now.
Well, it's sad because this was the first time I heard this, and I know analytics has been in the game now for a number of years. They're trying to change the vocabulary and everything, but this spin rate and this exit velocity that people are chasing now are leading to so many injuries. Kids hitting are chasing exit velocity and not barrel control and learning how to be a good hitter. They're swinging as hard as they can. Kids are literally getting fractures in their spine from overuse syndrome from swinging so hard. It's crazy. And the kids are throwing. Now, I blame it on a lot of things, but in the lower levels, that's all guys hunt is velocity. Even kids. Yeah. They're posting middle school age kids' velocities in social media. Best arm in 7th grade. Are you kidding me? What are we doing here? We're trying
they have
wipe out our baseball population. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. They have 8U power rankings nowadays.
Yeah, it's
8 and under.
Ridiculous. Come on. Come on.
But I actually wanted to touch on that. So I don't think you ever played overseas, did you?
Mm-mm.
So
no, I didn't.
My biggest question, and I don't really know if you would have an answer for it, but why do guys come from overseas where they rarely ever get hurt? Like, does Japan and Korea and all not chase velocity? I mean, I feel like they're definitely more fundamental. They're more, hit my spots and stuff like that. And then they get here and they get hurt. See Ohtani. I mean, do you think it's just like a fundamentally flawed system here in the United States compared to overseas?
Well, there might be. I mean, I think they're always kind of I hope they're always scrutinizing and evaluating how to keep guys healthy. That should be the most important thing. And I think the league has gotten really reckless and careless. And I think, borderline illegal what they're doing to guys and kids now. What's happening with the injuries? It's ridiculous. And I think, overseas they're getting extra days off. I don't know. I think everything has to constantly be studied, reevaluated. Baseball is the most unique sport because you play all the time, you throw all the time, you travel all the time. There isn't a lot of time for recovery. They're trying to manage, the pitches. Okay, you can throw as hard as you want for 100 pitches, baby. Let it go. And guys they lost command. Their arms have fallen off. Nobody can go 200 innings anymore. Are you kidding me? What's happening here? So things are kind of regressing, if you ask me. And I don't know, one way or another, it might be, who knows? It could be like a genetic thing where guys are just going to stay healthier. But I still am just a firm believer in managing and locating your fastball. And if you have the ability to naturally develop velocity off that, which the best pitchers do, then you're going to be good. But when you are just chucking it and your head's moving all over the place, you're just so susceptible to injury. And it's so risky. But, golly, 95 pays the bills nowadays. That's for sure.
It does. So let's talk a little bit about infield. Are you going back down at any point this year to kind of spend time with the team?
No, didn't get invited down this year. No.
So I want to really I want to pick your brain on how good you think this infield as a whole can be. I mean, I know you've spent a little bit of time probably with Gunnar. I don't know if you ever spent time with Jordan down, in Bowie or anything like that, or have seen Jackson, but I mean, you spent time with Mountcastle. How good can these guys be?
They can be great. And I think they all have incredible work habits. So I think they're going to be great. Now, I think what's hard about any young infielder is the ability to understand the urgency, understand the importance of the out, understand, their internal clock, the speed of the ball, speed of the runner. And that sometimes takes time. And so I think in that regard, just a little bit of patience, but they're as athletic a group as I've ever seen. Gunnar Henderson's just a freak, and if all he needs is just to understand how good he is and try less hard, because he wants to do everything like flying around and make it great when all he's got to do is plant his foot, get his eyes behind the ball, catch it, show his arm off, and simplify the game, right? Yeah. So when these kids start seeing hops better, seeing the ball off the bat better, understanding tendencies of hitters, it's just all with experience. They're going to be incredible. They're just going to be incredible.
Did you notice
they're not
anything
6-year free agents when that time comes?
Right. Did you notice anything different last year with Gunnar when he started making some of those errors? We talked about it on this show. I thought maybe he had like a sore shoulder, maybe some tendonitis or something, because he went from throwing above, like a normal shortstop, and then he started kind of throwing sidearm. And typically, I mean, I played a little bit, and when your arm starts to hurt, you start to drop the elbow a little bit, and that's when the ball starts sailing. Did you see any of that from Gunnar last year, or was it just plain dumb luck?
Oh, no, it wasn't dumb luck. It was just mismanaging of ground balls, I think, a lot of time. And I don't know, as far as arm angle, I'm not sure. He's got such a strong arm. I don't know. And he never really vanillas it over there. You know what I mean? So he doesn't have the touch where he could take a little off. It seems like every time it's 95 miles an hour.
Yeah,
but I just think it was more of trying to make too many plays on the run and not getting his feet underneath him. And because even though young guys, right, they can do anything. At one time, I felt like I was Superman and I could throw as hard as I wanted all the time and I could dive around and get up and go. But after you play 162 games and then you do it again another year, you got to learn how to take care of yourself and understand how to simplify the game, where instead of running through and making a throw on the run where my body's kind of miscontorted and I'm putting a little extra stress on my shoulder, go ahead and plant your right foot, get it underneath you, and make a nice little easy throw to first base and get the out, right? It doesn't always have to be a flashy thing. And which I guess the most important thing is the major leagues is making outs. That's it. And if you do that, you're going to be great. You don't have to be flashy. Just make outs. That's it. That's all you got to do, brother. That is it.
Well, you were
Matt. I know you. Yeah, I was going to say, Matt. I know you got one burning. Go for it.
I'm going to stick along the lines of the defense, and my question is about the outfield, Mike. It seems like we have a bevy of outfielders this year, more so than in years past. We lost Tony. We brought in Tyler. Kerstad is still here. Nobody got moved in the offseason for any other pitching help that we have thought on the show to be needing. But what does your outfield look like on opening day? I mean, I know it all depends on if it's a left-hander or a right-handed starter because it's so specialized now. But if you had the lineup card, who are you penciling in left, center, right?
Well,
I got question.
It is, because I just feel like they're going to be a platoon team, and I don't know, man. I'm worried about that. I don't like it, honestly.
It's too much sometimes.
It's too much because there's so many pitchers now. The starter's only going to go four innings. You know what I mean? On a good day, he'll go 5. But my gosh, you're seeing arms all the time, lefties, righties. So if you're going to plan on being a platoon team, it worked back in the day when starters went 8 innings. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was a lefty starter and bring in the righty, and it was a righty, bring in the lefty. It's just hard nowadays to play that game. So, I hope they don't get burnt there. But who knows? Maybe like O'Neill will start figuring out how to hit righties, that kind of thing. And if that happens, then that'll be a good thing. And if Cedric learns how to hit lefties again, that'll be a good thing too. So that kind of stuff. And I know, you just kind of see how things roll out. But man, oh man, I don't think they should hang their hat on platooning every night. I'd love to see if Colton Cowser can be more consistent. And why wouldn't you let a guy like Colton Cowser play every day to see if that's why we got these. I want Colton Cowser as an everyday outfielder, and I want Cedric out there in center field.
Yep.
Now, I think Colton can be a center fielder too, but I think we need the power, right, of O'Neill out there in left field, and then it's mix or match. I mean, we need guys that can hit with runners in scoring position.
Bingo.
We hit more freaking home runs last year than we did the year before, but we scored less runs because we didn't hit with runners in scoring position. That's what do you think. So what
do you think changed? They were good in 23 with runners in scoring position. And they were downright awful last year.
They didn't have as many home runs.
Right.
But they hit more home runs last year, but didn't know how to hit with a runner on third base.
It's
a lot of solos.
What do you want? There you go. Now, if you're the analytic guys, where's the value? You just showed you hit more home runs, but you didn't hit with runners in scoring position. So you better know how to put the barrel on the ball with runners on base. So the home run isn't as valuable. It's shown year 2023 to last year. So get hitters that know how to hit in the situation, not just swing from their butt and hit home runs.
Yep.
I love Tony Taters, but he wasn't the best guy with runners in scoring position.
We talked about that a lot on here.
Those are the guys we need, man. Good hitters.
Yeah. Nope.
I do have one follow-up question with the outfield, and then I'll turn it over to Tim. With Cedric Mullins, obviously his defense is impeccable. He's one of the best defensive center fielders in Major League Baseball. But his offense has lacked consistency and production for the better part of the last few seasons. He's had hot streaks here or there. What is your leash for keeping Mullins in the lineup every single day? offensively speaking. His defense is not really going to falter. He's been sound in the outfield. But what is your limit to where you got to be like, okay, if Kowser's hitting and Mullins is not, and there's not much of a defensive drop off from Mullins to Kowser in the outfield, when do you say when?
Well, if he's scuffling, man, you got to go early and then kind of work him back in. And they've had to do that in the past with Cedric. Listen, I'm a huge Cedric Mullins fan. He may not be the starting center fielder coming out of spring training, to be honest with you. He may be the guy that comes in at the end, a defensive guy. I'd like Cedric to be the starting center fielder because I want him to create more value so that he could be a trade piece potentially. I don't want him to get rid of some of their young guys. I love Cedric, but my gosh, if his value's up, man, you got to get something for him. There's no doubt. And then let Colton run around in center field. You know what I mean? But try to get some value out of Cedric. Maybe even Mountcastle if he's not going to be the first baseman of the future. I'm not sure. But if you ask me, it's Cedric and Mountcastle are the sole survivors, really, of pre-Elias. And I would think they're probably going to be the first two to go if that time comes. Unfortunately,
I think they're a little partial to Mountcastle. He brings a lot offensively and defensively. I think we're
but they didn't bring the wall in for him. They pushed.
No, they brought it in for Westburg.
Yeah.
Yep. Mike, I wanted to see or hear your thoughts on what we're seeing them try out in spring training. Obviously, a couple years back, we implemented the pitch clock, the whole idea of speeding the game up, making the game roll along faster. Now it appears we are going to implement the challenge rule where teams are going to be given 2 challenges. Pitcher can call a challenge, strike and ball, or batter can call a challenge, strike or ball. I believe it's 2 and done. It's not like you get both right, you get a third or anything like that. So I don't know. It's just interesting to me that we wanted to speed the game up, and then now we're maybe trying something out that could potentially slow it down a little bit. I know the player has to make the call and not the coach, so it won't be, that much time. But just thoughts on where the game's heading with these new rules. There was talk of the golden bat rule, all that nonsense.
I know, man. I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed, honestly. Just these rules. Come on. Baseball, in my opinion, I'm a traditionalist at heart, right? I mean, I just love the game, and the way it's supposed to be played, I think, is just the pureness of it. I know nowadays the game has to change because just people aren't paying attention long enough, so they want things to be sped up. But, man, I hope they don't just keep blowing these rules through, and next thing you know, we don't even recognize it. It's getting pretty hard. But, that said, I understand the importance of a ball and strike, man. And
I was going to say, you probably wish you could have turned around to the ump and said,
check no doubt. And I told him many times to please check the replay because I know that was a ball. Or, you know what I mean? I mean, gosh, but they threw me out and said, you go check it. But it could be a good thing. It'll be interesting, that's for sure, because a player then takes the whole game in his own hands to decide whether or not to, say no, that was a ball or that was a strike.
Right.
Players we're good, but I don't know, man. We're not that good. And pitchers think everything's a strike. I would let every call go to the catcher. They're supposed to be the smartest back there. They see the whole game in front of them, and they understand the importance of that pitch or the next pitch. So, man, oh, man, you cannot let pitchers make these calls. They'll be wanting everything. It'll be crazy.
Right. And I don't know if I could stand in the batter's box and make a wrong call and then have to look back into the dugout at my manager if I just flopped on it.
And they're like, what are you doing, man? I mean, my gosh, they've only got to limit that, I would think, to certain players, because I know I wouldn't have been allowed to turn around.
Some will have the green light. Some will have the red light. Yep.
Maybe. Yeah. But it could be interesting. And, some of these other rules that I thought were a little bit corny, the players have taken to them pretty well, I think. The speed, the clock, it seems like guys are more aware of it and are just kind of playing to it now. I still can't quite understand the size of the bases, but the game still goes on. The players are awesome, I'll tell you that. They're incredibly gifted athletes now. So much fun to watch. It almost feels like they have to make bigger fields for these guys. You know what I mean? It's just because they're making it look so small. So every home run's like 400 plus feet, 450 feet. And I don't know. It's just impressive to see these guys go at it. I used to think NBA guys, I've only been to a handful of NBA games. And when I saw those guys run down the floor, I was just blown away. When I go on a major league field now, every guy is like 6'3" to 6'5" and up. It's just incredible how well they move in the field. It's fun.
I got a good little comment here for you. I wanted you to comment on it. Somebody asked, what about the blocking of the bag rule? What are your thoughts on that?
Like an infielder putting his leg down?
Yeah.
I think that's trash.
Yeah.
I think it's bad ball.
Tell us how you really feel, Mike.
Well, it's ridiculous. I mean, you can't block a plate, but you can tell an infielder to block a base. I think that's so Bush League. And those are the type of plays that cause fights. Those are when guys go in spikes high to cut a guy's arm or leg for doing something stupid. Really, let's go. That's not good ball, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it. You know, they call all these stupid plays, and now it's a double play if an umpire like deems it, you know, being blocking of the bag or something like that. It kind of takes away. I played towards the end of it. I mean, you played in it, but towards the end of it, before they made those rule change, everybody went in hard at second base.
Oh yeah,
and they taught you that from the minor leagues on up. When I was with the Marlins, like we had these long, like 15-foot long sliding pads, and you learned how to slide into it like a tackling bag, and they wanted you to blow through that thing.
Yeah.
You know, and that was your goal when you were on first base, was to break up a double play. And now it's like, oh, let me just kind of peel off. And I understand the safety of the game, but there's still something about just hard-nosed baseball that will trump anything.
Well, there's safety, and then there's, stupid things that happen, out there. And I think for the most part, most players played to break up a double play, not to hurt a guy, but to try to upend him, so disrupt him, so he couldn't, turn the double play, so we'd have a chance to score a run. That's the integrity of the game, that run, right? So you break up a double play, so you got another chance. And a catcher blocking the plate, I think, is what the game is all about. I will not let you score. How primitive is that? You can't score. No. Yes, I can. Boom. And I score. And I knock the ball out, and we win. You know what I mean? You can still do that nowadays. Catcher's got to give a lane, but as soon as he catches it, he can go to protect mode.
Drop the old knee into the ribs.
that would come back and I think bring a great part of the game. Of course, umpires would then throw the base runner out, thinking that he ran into the catcher intentionally, all this crazy stuff. But I thought that was the separator. Major League Baseball players could turn a double play and still get their feet up off the ground and not get hurt. If you couldn't do that, you didn't belong in the big leagues.
Mm-hmm. And you guys worked on it a lot.
All the time.
Yeah.
You had to be athletic out there and get out of the way. Now, if you turn a double play and a guy like bumps into your leg, you're going to stand over the top of him and want to, MMA the guy right there at second base. So what are you talking about? Look at the highlights of like back when McRae was taking out Willie Randolph, or, those kind of slides when guys didn't even slide. They just tucked their shoulder in to break up a double play.
Yep.
Man.
Here's another good comment for you too. Do you feel that Holliday will spend his entire career at second base?
Wow, that's a really good question. And what's really interesting about that is if he's on the Orioles, I'm going to say yes, because it seems like Gunnar is going to be the shortstop, right? Mm-hmm. So I always thought this was pretty intriguing. Last year, I thought Holliday, the only reason why he didn't have that much success, I think, defensively, is because his clock was so off. I think he would have been more aggressive as a shortstop and probably made the plays because everything's in front of you. Everything's moving towards first base. It probably would have been an easier move for him. Second base is incredibly mechanical and hard, and understanding when to stop, how to turn a double play, how to plant and make the throw back across. And his clock was way off. I mean, yeah, they didn't turn enough double plays last year, in large part because he just didn't understand how the urgency of that. And he might have been more fluid at shortstop, to be honest. I haven't seen him play enough, though, to make a full statement on that. I would say he's going to settle in nicely and become a great second baseman, to be honest with you.
I think that's fair.
I agree with that. While we're on the subject of, the baby Orioles, he's not such a baby anymore. He's in his mid-20s now. Where does Kobe Mayo fit on this 2025 team?
There ain't no room at the end right now, that's for sure. So Kobe Mayo is going to have to do like a Trey Mancini back in the day and just hit your way on. He is going to have to open big-time eyes in spring training and say, I'm coming, make room, and force something to happen. And I really think that's the only way, because I just think, his showing last year, it was just a little shaky defensive and offense. So, did it change over the offseason? Let's hope. Just a little bit of maturity and that taste in the big leagues sometimes is enough to help young players kind of take that next step forward. And let's hope he does that. But yeah, he's going to have to make a big impression, or it's going to take an injury or a trade to get him in the big leagues, I think.
So you believe that Norfolk might be where he lands, just purely based on the way the roster is constructed right now? That's interesting.
Don't you? I mean, where are you going to put him?
I mean, he hasn't really proven himself to be an everyday DH.
No, heck no. No way.
And I don't think, if we're talking DH, you got Kerstad in the way too. And I don't think he's over top of that. Pivoting a little bit here, Mike, I just wanted to give you a chance to talk about what you guys got going over at Baseball Warehouse.
Oh man, Baseball Warehouse is great. We get lessons. We do clinics. We've had some superstars in there recently too, just to put on some hitting clinics. Last week we had Andrew Jones, and superstar that's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Dwight Gooden was supposed to come in. I think weather kind of pushed him away, but we've had Jim Cott came in and did a pitching clinic. Al Oliver was in there. Jose Canseco's been in there. Jay Gibbons was in there this offseason too. It was great to see my old teammate. So, we're trying to teach the kids a good brand of baseball. They get a lot of professionals to come in and help them. We care about the game and just want to promote it the right way and teach the game the right way. I think a lot of us still know how to get the barrel on the ball and field a ground ball. And I don't think that's going to change too much in the game of baseball, even though they may change the terminology. You still got to hit it and catch it, right? And there's a right way to do those things. So help those kids with that. And that's always fun. And I also have something else I'd like to talk about. I have a nonprofit called the League of Dreams. Give special needs kids opportunities to play baseball and softball. That's kind of the starting point of it. We do all sports now. We're involved in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. We just did an awesome class. We're doing a pilot program at the Bear School right in Baltimore next to Coppin State, or special needs kids, use the STEM program that the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation brought over, and the League of Dreams did an adaptive version. So doing a lot of great things, man. You got to check it out, leagueofdreams.org. And I would be remiss if I didn't say something about a new podcast coming up. Now I got one too, guys. It's called the Baseball Podcast, and it's going to be with me and Jerry Coleman. So we're going to be talking
Aloysius
shop too. Okay. Yeah, we're going to be talking shop.
Oh, that's right. Well, yeah. You're taking over for Jonesy, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I was reading about that. Yeah, Adam put something on Twitter about that.
Yeah, so we'll have fun doing that.
Yeah. You got a lot going on right now, Mike.
Trying to stay busy, man. It keeps me out of trouble,
You mentioned his name, so I got to get it in there while I can. But I was just looking back and how said to the boys earlier, I was like, man, Mike played with some legends back when you were out in California. And we were just naming off. We got, Terry Steinbach, Ricky Henderson, Jose Canseco, Harold Baines, like Mark McGuire. And for those of you that don't know, Mike and Mark actually combined for 57 home runs in 1996. So check that stat out. You might believe that one. It's true though. But do you have any? We can keep it PG, but any like really great stories of that clubhouse, that dugout, just something funny?
Oh my gosh. That time they all brought out the syringes and we did steroids in the locker room. No. I know you were waiting for that. No, man, we didn't do that.
Oh, that's good.
Not you, Bordy.
Those guys were awesome. You mentioned just a few, dude. Goose Gossage was on those teams. Willie Randolph came over and played in 90 as well. Willie Wilson, Willie McGee. I mean, it was unbelievable, the people that were rolling through there. Eckersley, Ron Darling was on those. I played with Ron Darling for like 4 or 5 years out there. So, I mean, just incredible players with incredible stories in their own career, just to hang out with those guys. But one of my first experiences was going to big league camp in 1989, and I come into the clubhouse. Dave Parker's in there. Reggie Jackson's like a hitting guy there. Dave Stewart, and they start jawing back and forth at each other. Dave Parker screams at Eckersley about something because Eckersley had one of those pouches you wear around the waist, and Dave Parker said something that I'm not going to say on air about that bag, right? And so Eckersley's giving Dave Parker a hard time, and Dave Stewart comes to Eckersley's defense, and Dave Stewart says, "Dang, Parkway, my kid doesn't even know who you are." And Dave Parker says to Stu, "Well, you better buy your kid a TV."
That's great.
I was like, oh my gosh. These guys were going at it back and forth. It was awesome.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, great group of guys, man. And just awesome pros that worked hard and just cared about winning and playing the game the right way. Every day the message was play the game hard and play the game right. That's it.
Was Canseco as goofy as he seems on TV?
He had some quirky things, didn't he? But that dude worked hard, man. Did he hit. And he was hands down the best player in the game for, 5 years, right? And he could throw, he could hit, he could run, 5-tool all the way. And then I think it came down to hitting for him. So he started. One thing I noticed playing this game is that if you don't keep working at every skill, you will lose it fast, and the game will take over and it will beat you down and it won't let you up. And I think we all saw Jose Canseco go from a mega superstar to all of a sudden the ball's bouncing off his head and going over the fence in Texas. And he just stopped working at defense, and all he wanted to do was try to hit home runs. Unfortunately, he never got to his 500 home runs, but I was happy to play with him because he was a lot of fun to watch the time I was with the A's.
How terrible is it with everything that happened in Oakland?
Yeah, it really sad, man, because that dang team that I was a part of, just, briefly, that dynasty, they were 88, 89, 90. Oakland's had dynasties before too. Back in the early 70s, they had dynasties. Right. They've had so many incredible,
great players,
great teams and players. Yeah, the tradition is amazing there, right? Just the whole story, I think, of the A's is pretty amazing. But it's sad that the city didn't quite support them or couldn't support them for one reason or another, or ownership. I don't know exactly how it all went, but Oakland definitely deserved better. Their players, their fans definitely deserved better. And I know I got the best of that, though, coming off the tail end of that run. Getting 50,000 people in the Oakland Coliseum when it was open up to the Oakland Hills was the most amazing thing in the world, and especially for a young player. So, yeah, when I one day get into Cooperstown, I'm going in as an Oakland A, I hate to say.
There you go.
No.
I don't know. No. There might be some people in Baltimore that have something to say about that.
Look,
I'll wear 2 hats then. I'll do like
there
Moose.
you
go. Look, Moose is I don't want to talk
about
Moose.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Let's not talk about Moose. But I will say this though. If you do get that call to the Hall, you should go in as an Oriole just for the simple fact that you got Cal to move to third.
Oh yeah.
I know it wasn't you, but
well, I think that's the only reason I got into the Oriole Hall of Fame is I think they felt sorry for me taking on that burden.
Oh, no, man. Hey, there was a comment earlier in the feed, Mike. You made the flip up sunglasses a fashionable baseball accessory here in Baltimore, so that you should get it on that merit alone.
Yeah, I love
Bring
those
them
glasses,
back.
man. Yeah,
bring them back.
Yeah, I love them because out in Oakland, man, we played a lot of day games out there. They had crazy times, and it was a tough high sky out there in Oakland. So you had to master the flip down glasses, and I never felt comfortable. The Oakleys, I guess, came in. I don't know, maybe in the early '90s, mid '90s, something like that. I just could never get used to wearing sunglasses full time. I had to like see everything a little bit clearer. And I was a big fan of flip downs, man. I like those babies because you could go down and then back up if you were good at it. And I had to do that a couple times.
That's awesome.
Yep. JJ rocked them. It was
he did.
JJ wore them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Mike, how versed are you with some of our prospects? Do you kind of keep up to date with any of them?
Yeah, I know a couple of them.
At this current time, who is your probably most underrated prospect that you don't hear people talk about enough?
Man, oh man. No.
Because obviously everybody talks about Mayo, everybody talks about Basayo, but I mean, I feel like this organization has some really good prospects, and not everybody knows everybody. So to hear somebody that you value would be pretty cool.
Well, I guess I don't know everybody. I wrote some guys down though the other day. I thought I had them right here, and maybe I don't. Oh yeah, I did. How about that? Always prepared, right?
Always. Always.
Well, let's see who I have here. Of course, I like the infielders. What do you got on Rip O'Farrell?
Griff? I mean, I liked him coming out of college last year. His manager spoke incredibly high about him, about his leadership. And, I mean, bringing a guy like that into the organization, I mean, people feed off of that kind of stuff. So I haven't gotten a chance to see him play personally, but he's a guy that, I mean, we keep an eye on here.
Okay. Is he going to be able to hit?
That's a question mark for everybody, isn't
it? You're exactly right. Yeah.
I think that's the honeycut question too.
What about Enrique? Is Bradfield going to hit enough?
I think Bradfield's the starting center fielder next year.
Oh, wow. Is that a bold statement?
He
really?
He's a game changer, man. He's an absolute game changer. And if he hits enough, you don't have to be a 300 hitter.
What's enough? Is he going to have a 380 on base?
You got to have to walk a lot for that. But look, if you hit 220, right, and play outstanding defense in the big leagues, that's the only guy in your lineup hitting below 235. I think you can get away with one guy doing it, and that would be the guy I would want doing it, and let him learn. Right? Because he's 23, if that.
In center field.
Yeah, in today's game,
man, I don't know,
it's a little different than when you played. Back then, everybody hit over almost 270.
No, not really, but I don't know. I don't know. I think they can get more out of that. I wouldn't take 220. If that's the case, keep Cedric out there. You know what I mean? What the heck?
Fair point. Very fair point right there.
Yeah, but there are a couple guys I'm really interested in, like the Vance Honeycutt too, right? He's supposed to be a big power dude. If he can cut down on some strikeouts. Listen, this is the question though. We know the Orioles have bats. Listen, part of my life, a bulk of my life, I grew up in New England, and all I saw were bats in the Red Sox, right? Jim Rice and Dwight Evans and stuff. But it always came down to pitching, and they never had enough pitching. So where are our pitchers in the minor leagues?
I've been asking
pitchers
that
in
for
the
a
minor
long
leagues?
time.
This is the question. This is what needs to be posed is great job drafting all these players, but pitching's the name of the game. Where are all those guys? So
on other teams.
And good luck buying them because it's really hard to get them. So I thought there might be a few developed by now, but there just isn't.
And that's what we see a lot of people in this fan base. I mean, we're all very plugged in on social media and we see it all. And that was sort of the motto was, well, the Orioles draft bats and they buy pitching. But we would need to buy pitching in order for that statement to be true.
Yeah, they bought Corbin Burns for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that has not sat well with me since he signed in Arizona. I've been a very grumpy person on this show.
You're gonna get mad on his soapbox.
No, look.
Tim's got a little violin for him.
It's a
music
box, not a
music
violin
box, whatever.
But Mike, I'll say. See, Mike, I'll say this. My problem doesn't necessarily lie in the pitching staff or the fact that these players, that Corbin walked. At the end of the day, he wanted to be home. I think we all came to realize that. I have a really big problem with the skipper of this ball team, and it is well documented. I'm not a Hyde guy. If you're a rebuilding franchise, and the Orioles went through another rebuild in the late 20 teens into the pandemic, now it's come to fruition, and I think that we had an opportunity that was there to bring in somebody like Francona in the offseason because 192 games the last 2 seasons, but we're 0-7 in the playoffs. We've been swept 2 straight years, and I feel like the team on a manager that can't get it done when it matters the most. And I'm not trying. It's nothing personal, but I'm looking at it as a fan objectively, and all of us here have differing views on it, obviously, because of my colleague Tim here making his face. Do you give Hyde another Do you give Hyde another full year if there's a collapse or a disconnect the way there was in 24?
Well, if I'm evaluating a manager, I'm going to evaluate the team and how they respond to the manager. And I feel like these guys like Brandon, and I feel like they play hard for him. I don't think there's any disgruntled employees. I think they have a nice working environment. Could Brandon maybe push some different buttons every now and then? Maybe. I mean, I guess that could be a managerial argument, but I also don't think Brandon manages like we think managers used to what we're used to managers doing. I think a lot of it comes now from paperwork and analytic driven lineups and things like that. So I think Brandon's there, and most managers now are there to be good, inspiring leaders and make sure everybody's pulling the same way and keeping their coaches on track and making sure guys are getting good work in and whatever they need so that they're comfortable and happy and healthy, hopefully. I just don't know that strategy wise. I just think a lot of things are already, unfortunately, predetermined. Now,
that's fair.
I could be wrong.
I've been a little bit overly critical of Hyde because this team that they've built is full of superstars that are ready to bud and be big time national players and kind of put the Orioles on the map. And it's just like, okay, we got swept by the Rangers. We got swept again this year, and then it's frustrating because when do you finally pull that plug? And I said it on the show a couple months ago when they announced that Buck Britton was going to be on the staff. So I kind of thought Buck got maximum efficiency and maximum value out of all the big name first round picks and high draft picks. So I guess I was kind of alluding to that if Hyde goes, Buck is the guy.
Well, it seems like Buck Britton's been groomed for this. coming up through, right, AA, then following the Stars up, and now he's going to be there as well. So it seems like that he would be the next guy in line.
Right.
But I don't have a problem with Brandon, to be honest with you. I wish that there'd be more pitching. I think that's what it comes down to be honest.
I do take into account that he doesn't get a choice in who we sign and who we don't.
Right.
And he can only manage the guys that he's given. And at the end of the day, it's not 100% on him. It was just a little bit of frustration in the moment.
Oh, I hear you, brother. I know.
You go from 101 wins, and then all of a sudden you're down to 91 wins, and then you don't even win a playoff game in both of those years. And you have Gunnar entering his prime, Westburg entering his prime, Adley entering his prime. There's a lot of players that, once that 27 to 30, 2027 to 2030 window hits, who knows who's going to be here in the next 4 or 5 years? We don't know, because a lot of these guys are represented by that albatross to the baseball, Scott Boras. I don't know if you ever had him for an agent. I don't apologize for what I'm saying. So
no, he wouldn't have me. I wasn't that kind of client.
What was the stat line, Zach? I think we were talking about it. Since 2011. 2011, Scott Boras has not let a client sign a pre-arbitration deal.
Yay for us.
It's just not an option. I mean,
it's too bad, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think it's too bad.
It really is,
because I think what's too bad is I think Baltimore, Elias tried to do things the right way, getting young players. I'm not sure if he ever approached them with long-term deals or anything like that, but I just always look back at, there were some long-term deals with players, a little bit head scratchers at time, but I think pretty smart. Like a guy like Evan Longoria. Remember when he just got in? I don't even know that he even had a day in the big leagues. So they gave him a 6-year deal or something like that. Or maybe it was more than that, but it was a $100 million contract, I think. And everybody's like, how can you do that to an unproven player? Well, we got Adley and Gunnar now that have got 3 or 4 years, or 2 or 3 anyway, under the belt. So they're beyond that, but it would have been cool to be able to lock those guys up sooner, like give them a 5-year deal, and give them $100 million and say, come on, man, just for 5 years, give us all you got, and then go out and sign a $700 million deal. We'll watch you play for the Mets or the Yankees the rest of your career, or something like that. But it's hard, man, because even now in arbitration, these guys are going to be making a lot of money.
That's true.
My analytical part of this is I gotta talk about this. I'm pretty sure this is in response to you, Matt. Pinch hitters in the 6th inning or later over the last 3 years. I had to pull that up. Baltimore is 2nd in the major leagues at a 275 average.
Wow.
Major league average is actually 208. So Brandon Hyde pushes some buttons in the 6th inning or later with some pinch hitters.
That is such a cherry pick stat.
It is.
I don't want to hear that.
But there aren't runners on base when they come up to pinch hit.
I was gonna say, nobody's on base though. So
let me pull that up real quick.
That is the most minuscule, objectively biased.
That's a
stat.
Good stat.
I think they were just trolling you, Matt. It's all right.
And that's cool. It's cool. Mike, I'll be honest with you, and I don't know if you can tell from the show so far. These
233, Mike, by the way, with runners in scoring position.
These two love analytics, and they're analytics dorks, and I do not like analytics in sports. I think it's an absolute utter tragedy that sports have been minimized to numbers when just having an eye for it and playing the game. I'm a football guy first and foremost, but all the analytics.
We're all sorry for your sins, Matt.
I'm sorry. I was an aggressive person growing up. Yeah. So these guys love the analytics, and that joke was right up their wheelhouse, Mike. It was they couldn't wait to throw something in there just to get me on a tangent.
Yeah.
That's why we haven't spoken about Adley Rutschman yet.
Oh boy.
Touche.
My gosh. What
Okay.
happened?
See, Mike, I knew they were going to do this, Mike, and I'm glad they waited towards the end of the show.
I didn't do it.
I think Adley has been distracted by this whole TikTok eating fast food trend and worrying about if he's with his girlfriend or not to really focus and be a damn baseball player full time. And I feel like his numbers have dipped when he's publicly going through the on again, off again. And the fact that the dude's picked up 20 pounds, it seems like midway through the season last year, and he was DHing more than he was catching for a little while. And now he comes into camp. He looked fat 3 weeks ago, and now he's
yoked out of his mind.
He's shredded and hitting 450-foot home runs in
I
spring
tell you what,
training right now.
You look at his forearms, you could tell he's single.
Oh my God!
I didn't say that.
Do you believe Adley's long-term position as catcher? Or do you think he's going to go the route of Mauer, where he's eventually going to have to transition to first base?
He's going to hit for 300 this year, Matt.
No, he's not.
No, but I feel like he's gonna. Yeah, I feel like they're trying to transition him anyway.
He's
I don't
such
know
a good
why
hitter. Like, why do you want him behind the plate?
Well, when he catches, he doesn't hit, right?
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that
like
crazy?
I understand the argument from people like you took him 1 of 1 and you don't take a guy 1 of 1 to DH, but if he legitimately hits 325, 30 home runs and 100 and some RBIs, I don't care that he went 1-1 and eventually transitioned to a DH because he's producing runs.
Yeah.
I mean, if Basayo is that good, then it really doesn't matter because now both guys are helping the team. But I mean, if he's just a better hitter when he's not behind the plate, I think they are looking to get him out from behind there.
Well, they better not right now. You want?
No. Basayo's got a lot to learn.
Yeah, Basayo's not ready. And we got Sanchez is our backup.
Zach loves Sanchez.
Oh, that's his
me?
boy.
What do we do there? What? I don't understand that.
The more I thought about it, though,
years. Give him a can 2 years. Let him. He'll work as hard as anybody, and he won't. Oh my gosh, I don't know about this sign.
So Tim and I were talking about it a little bit. I've flipped out. Then we were live the night that it happened, and I'm not a big Gary Sanchez fan.
We were live when that broke.
Yeah, it was bad. But anyway, so the more we kind of looked into it, right? Gary has the ability to connect and talk with Samuel better than anybody else. He's got the Spanish lingo and all that stuff. So they can kind of connect a lot better. And then we kind of start to learn, and it was actually brought up on Twitter the other day that Gary's had Yu Darvish and who was the other one, Matt? Was it Tanaka?
Tanaka.
So he already has that that Japanese, connection where he can actually already speak. So, and they were saying that his connection with Sagano already is really good because he can actually speak a little bit Japanese. And the more we kind of thought about it, it's like, okay, this was a pure teaching sign, and to kind of bridge it. So he gets to really, really teach Basayo, okay, I was once that top hitting prospect catcher, on top of the world. I came in, guns blazing my first couple of years with the Yankees, and then I got lazy. And so that's a teaching moment to me for Samuel. Hey, you can hit the top, but you can easily fall down to the bottom. But then it's also okay, now I can communicate with, Latin, or not just Latin, but overseas type pitchers a little bit better than probably Adley could, or even our coaches. So it kind of makes sense when you start to look at the bigger picture about it, but I don't know how long he's really here.
Well, you sold them right there. I mean, that sounded like pretty good.
And I'm not a fan
theory
of
why they brought him over.
He could be a personal catcher for Sagano.
Let's hope that works. And I would love to hear him translate and speak and all that.
Yeah.
And and let's hope he can help the young catcher and communicate well there too, because a lot of times good veterans can help, some young catchers along the way. But I do worry about that. Adley's got to catch, man. If Adley doesn't, if you're platooning there with Sanchez, I think we're in trouble.
Yeah, Gary only caught 22 games last year.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and James caught like 64 or something like that. I don't think Gary has that workload in him anymore.
So Adley's got to catch 140 games this year. I mean,
Or Silas Ardon's going to come up,
and he didn't come anywhere close to that.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Do you believe, how far off do you believe Basayo is? You know, he's one of the top prospects in baseball according to most
yeah, he's just a kid
publications.
still, too, right? Is he 19 or 20?
I think he's 20.
Now, I haven't seen him catch, and I heard that that's where the problem's going to be. And if you got a little question about your catching, it's going to be a while, because to try to handle major league pitching on a
I really think that's why Gary was here.
Fast balls don't fly here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
I
think.
really think that's why Gary was brought in, because remember how polarizing a prospect Gary Sanchez was coming up for the Yankees, and he gets here, he was good, and then he got lazy. Right, and I feel like maybe they see the maturity in Gary now to like really kind of say, Samuel, you got to put some emphasis on your receiving, which Charlie Morton did say that he receives exceptionally well for a 20-year-old, so that was good to hear. But I think the blocking, I mean, blocking is blocking with him being
big. It's hard
6'3",
for a big
6'4",
guy,
right? I mean, Wieters did it really well, but Wieters was extremely athletic. And not saying that Samuel's not, but I think Gary's really here to say, like, don't be lazy about it. Like,
yeah, good.
Because we all watched me walk to a baseball after I missed a block in the playoffs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So you got anything else you want to plug for us, Mike?
Remind everybody again, Mike, what you got going on, because that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, we got more viewers in here now too.
Okay, yeah. So the Baseball Warehouse give lessons. We do clinics. I do public speaking through the Baseball Warehouse too. I love to come to schools and share my story and experiences with kids. And also the League of Dreams. We give special needs kids opportunities to play baseball, softball. We do basketball clinics, soccer, everything. We have a great relationship too, I forgot to mention, with the community colleges here in the area, Catonsville, Dundalk, Essex. And we're starting to partner with the Baltimore County Public Schools, their allied sports programs that are with special needs kids and give them opportunities to play sports. So a lot of great things happening. We're doing swim safety as well. Got a couple podcasts too, even the one through the League of Dreams. Take a look at that one. It's more on the health wellness side, more well-rounded. And then, of course, the Be More Baseball podcast with Mike Bordick and Jerry Coleman starts Tuesday, February 25th.
Love
it. Awesome.
Really appreciate you
too old to
coming
join. I don't know if JP was asking that for me or for himself.
Mike, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. I know the fellas do also. Matt.
Yeah, man. Anytime, of course. Love talking shop, man. And guys that love baseball. And I love hearing everybody's different perspective too. But there's still a great passion for the game, and we got to keep it alive, guys.
It's definitely here. It's definitely in this room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to probably, get you back on maybe, like quarter of the way through the season or something, and kind of do like a recap and whatnot and kind of get, pick your brain about it.
Yeah. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention, I'm also on 105.7 The Fan. I do.
Yes, you are.
We all three of us listen to that station way more than your average human being should.
All right.
Probably not.
Yeah. So we're gonna do that show again with Bob Haney and of course Tim Barbalet, Ryan Ripken, and Jim Hunter and myself. We're gonna be on there as well. So take a listen to that too. The pregame show, right? Baltimore baseball tonight on 105.7 The
Yes.
Fan.
I'm a
down there at Pickles Pub, hun.
Yeah, man. Come on down to Pickles, baby. Always a party.
Yeah. Tim and I are really Tim Barbalet and I are pretty good friends, and
all right, cool.
He tells me how much he enjoys having you around. So
very cool.
That's cool, man. But that'll do it for the show, guys. That's a wrap on Foul Ball Talk this week. Brought to you by Pigtown Sports. We'll be back next week to kind of recap some more spring training. Mike, thank you for giving us some time. I appreciate you coming on. So do the boys, and
definitely
we'll catch up next week. We'll get back on air next week with week 3 of spring training coverage. Mike, good luck with the podcast with Aloysius. He's an interesting fellow, and we hope to see you again soon, man.
Sounds good. All right, you guys. Take care.
Thanks.
See ya.